Hello everyone and welcome to the debrief for the Kaiserreich Germany series. I've already made a video about the whole story aspect, so I'm not going to repeat that here. But there are two topics that I want to talk about today. One of them is to take a look and investigate how the USAS fell so badly, given that they were sort of a peer adversary in terms of numbers. And the second being my production and the changes of how I've been making videos from throughout this series and what that means for the next series. I leave chapters in so you can easily skip one of the items if that's not interesting for you. But we'll start out with the first one, and I have loaded up and say slightly earlier saves. As you can see, the German Empire is controlling the US East Coast, and the Central American situation is rapidly deteriorating. So this is sort of the point where the USAS are completely falling apart. So let's, I haven't looked at this in detail, I've just switched over to the USAS. So we are now the Union of Socialist American States. I'm not going to play it, but I want to actually investigate what happened, because there's always a lot you can learn from the mistakes that your enemy is making. So let's begin with the logistics. And what we can see up here is our war support is terrible. And that already tells you a lot because it comes from the convoy raids. And the USAS has no convoys. There are literally no convoys left. They have all been sunk trying in vain to trade with whoever is left that we can actually trade with. Let's have a quick look. Where are we trading? We are trying to trade for chromium with Canada. That doesn't need any convoys. Central America, we can't because, well, everything's under wraps there. We are actually trading with Canada for steel. The big miss here is on rubber, but we're not even trading with anyone for rubber. We're trading with Canada for aluminium, and the only thing we've got left over is actually tungsten, but a massive deficit on all resources, and we have absolutely no convoys. This has supply implications, and we'll look at that next. So remember how I went about this. So the first thing we destroyed was the US naval supremacy over the Western Pacific in order to liberate Cuba and in order to establish the forward island bases, for which were launch points for an actual land invasion. The additional benefit that has is that any supply of troops in Central America is going to be significantly harder because they have no longer gotten any convoy routes that they can use, because German submarines have pretty much destroyed everything. Now let's have a quick look at the supply situation. And you can already see that the supply situation here in Central America on the front lines is dire. And that's because, well, there aren't any convoys. If we look, for example, we look at San Pedro Sula here, the supply base in Honduras. This is we've requested about 10 supply, and we've managed to get about 8 through, and that is from a level 1 railway somewhere in here, probably this one. I think that looks like a level 1. So the railway connection just simply isn't enough, and the convoys can't supplement it because, well, there aren't any. And if there were, they wouldn't be getting through. They would be getting sunk by the submarines. So we have 2 full tank divisions and 4 mechanized divisions positioned on this spot without any supply. So that's obviously not really going to work. These are average. These are 1/3 supplied. So these troops are not going to be combat effective. So we're looking at the actual ongoing combat here, where there's a Finnish division attacking. It doesn't look too bad, because I think it's the, it doesn't look too bad. Some of these divisions actually still have some supply, still seem to have some supply. So that actually still works. But overall, they will degrade over time here, and will really not get anywhere. And obviously the troops in the south here are completely cut off because, well, then we're not getting any convoys through. So the best move here would actually be to evacuate these and give this up, because there's no way this is going to be held. But yeah, the troops are there, and the average supply status is at 0%. So these troops have no food, no ammunition, no fuel. They are going to get destroyed. That's not the only place we have supply issues, however. I think we do have some supply issues further north too. So a lot of this, and this came, we had actually bombed a lot of things in logistics bombed a lot of things in earlier in the onset of the campaign. So after once we had the air cleared out over the northern states, the long-range America bombers came in from Bermuda, and were, I think, especially like the Albany region, which is why we had to actually stop there and repair a lot of things, was completely devastated. So here it's actually not too bad, but they've lost the Albany hub, so the north is cannot really be held, I think. So, but what option do they have? They do get supply from Canada. They do get some supply from Buffalo, but there's a tank division here, which is again very low on supply. 25% is not going to be combat effective. So there's little you can do about it with front lines, but it'd probably be meaningful to sort of fall back to a supplyable line. What's the terrain over here? This is hills. Yeah, it's like we've got defensible terrain that can be fallen back to. The rest of the line doesn't actually look too bad in terms of supply. So it's not supply that's been killing the Americans in the northern states. So what has been? Well, we've already seen the trade. And why are we having such a massive deficit on things? Because America has an insane amount of resources. Well, they are on free trade. They're not on export focus. They're on free trade. At a situation where there's a dramatic lack of resources. So why the AI is not saving up political power to switch that down to at least export focus, which would probably solve some, if not most of these, is completely beyond me. It's these little things that always baffle me. I think there are several big issues that the AI has, why it keeps losing. But there's some little things like this which somewhat baffle me. The AI works, like these things aren't quite as obvious if it's a well-connected AI. So if it's not isolated, but the USAS is very isolated. They have no trade, so they cannot compensate for these kind of mistakes, which means that this is absolutely devastating, and that probably means our production is in the tank. And we are. Our highest priority is trucks. That's where we're sending the scarce steel to, while we have still a stockpile of 3,000. There's some rifle manufacture, but no conversion, which would be absolutely essential in a situation where steel is this scarce. Like there is no steel. We're producing a bit of support equipment. Okay, fair enough. AA. This is just on reinforcement. This is on reinforcement. So these are not necessary. We're not converting any of these, and we seem to be having somewhat of a stockpile of these things. So why are these on top? Next thing, we're building mechanized. And the USAS has an insane amount of mechanized divisions. We've got 106 mechanized infantry divisions. That's probably more than I had in Germany. We only had 16 infantry divisions left at this point. All of it's mechanized, which is very, very powerful. Let's take a look at the mechanized template. So what do they have here? That's a 28 with mechanized infantry. That's very workable. 3 artillery, 1 line AA, support RT. What they're lacking probably is piercing a bit. Yeah, they've got 76 piercing, which isn't bad, but against tanks, not really going to help. But this is a powerful division. Flame tanks are missing, but I understand that maybe the AI doesn't really build those, but that's a powerful division template. Of course, unfortunately, that's a relatively high supply division template as well. Although 1.65 is not bad, because they do have logistics company in there. So the AI has sort of done the right thing here. The problem is we have no rubber. And with 0 rubber, the production is at 5 a day for this line. That's 70 factories, 70 military factories that produce 5 half trucks a day. And there's another 80 military factories which produce nothing at all, because we have no trucks, we have no rubber, and we have no steel. And of course, with no rubber, that means the whole aircraft, production is completely in the tank. There is nothing. We're not building any aircraft. So let's have a quick look. We're not building any tanks either. We don't even have maybe it's down here. Okay, there it is. There's the production line for the tanks. But we're not building any tanks. Why are we not building any tanks? We have no rubber problems for tanks. Yeah, but the tanks are down below the Navy. We are trying to rebuild the Navy without steel. Yeah, that's not going to work. So we're not building any tanks either. Let's have a quick look at these tanks and see what we've got here. We've got the M12 modern tank chassis. So that's riveted armor, okay, given. Christie suspension I'm okay with. A massive engine and armor upgrade. So yeah, the reliability is terrible. And we've got the improved medium, okay. Maybe the research is a bit behind there. Wet ammunition storage, yes, because you're absolutely tanking the reliability. An autoloader for additional defense and breakthrough, okay, can take this. And interestingly, armor skirts. I wouldn't take the armor skirts. I would have taken a sloped armor. And something that has this high of an armor setting, sloped armor would have been the thing to use. So something like this would upgrade the armor quite significantly for 3 IC and absolutely no reliability hit. So why the AI isn't doing it, beyond me. We have also no radio, as you might notice. In case you're wondering, okay, we have researched the basic radio, but that radio does a massive impact on breakthrough and on defense. Defense, not so important because it's a tank. Breakthrough is the important one, because breakthrough is your defense on the attack. And it makes sense, right? If you have a tank group that cannot coordinate with each other because they basically have to wave signal flags to communicate intent, then this group isn't effective. And the tanks can be picked off piecemeal and there's no effective coordination. Radio communication between tanks is super essential. So that's missing. That is quite that's quite bad. Let's look at the old medium tank that they've got here, and it's basically the same thing, right? They've got a heavy machine gun, not worth it in my opinion, for soft attack, unless really early on. But again, very heavy on the engine and armor. That's quite interesting. I generally try to keep the reliability relatively high, just not to have to deal with the breakdowns that much. But this is a cheap tank, so. I don't disagree, but all in all, that's a decent armor value. The firepower is okay. Breakthrough is okay, but all in all, not great. This could have been a much better design if we had taken something like welded armor. This is a 21, so we're taking welded armor. What kind of? Yeah, I think research is behind here. I could have probably used the advanced heavy, maybe. Anyway, and with a couple of modifications. Let's look at the aircraft. What do they have here? Or what are they trying to build, at least? They are trying to build transport planes, a few, but not many. The main focus is on the B-27 Bandit. That's a medium airframe. So let's find that thing. It's right up here. That is a tactical bomber. So it's a pure tactical bomber. Not your priority, honestly, at this point. Why are you building tactical bombers? Because you don't have air superiority. How is the Air Force actually looking? Let's have a quick look what we actually have in terms of air wings. There is a fair amount of air around. So a lot of it seems to be concentrated down south. So we've got CAS wings, which are operating out of range. So they are not going to be doing anything because they can't effectively reach the air zone. They can only reach the northern bit of it here. So if we look at that air zone, yeah, our mission efficiency is quite bad. So we've got a couple of CAS wings, out of which only one is currently actually on mission. The other four are just sitting there. Why? We have all the fuel in the world. Why are these air wings just sitting here? The same here. We've got more CAS wings, which are not doing anything because again they're out of range. Move them forward. There's a closer airbase that has a single CAS wing on it, which is on mission, which makes sense. But this airbase is completely unoccupied. 5 air wings are sitting here not doing anything, or 4 of them, while there is a forward airbase that they could be deployed to, which would give them somewhat better range. So we've got CAS doing what? Logistics strikes on the ocean. That's not really, I don't think that's going to do much. We've got TAC wings, which are doing strat bombing on, or maybe this probably includes the areas here, because the air zone is not the same as the sea zone. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but the CAS wing has no range, so it's never going to make its way over there. So that's completely useless. We've got another CAS wing here doing logistics strikes against but they can't even make it, they can barely make it off the coast. So terrible misallocation, a lot of these things here, terrible misallocations. And you will notice that all these wings are untrained. So all of these have no experience whatsoever. What have you been doing with what? So the AI is not training these air wings at all. That's giving them a fair amount of debuff, honestly, for any kind of air combat. And given that this is the US, they don't have the excuse that they don't have oil. I'm not sure why, but it looks like nothing is trained, and a lot of wings are actually not operational. They're just sitting there. I mean, some of them are under strength, so I wouldn't really be using this one. But there's really no use for these wings to all be standing by. What are they doing back here? We've got the airbase capacity. We've got some airbase capacity. Get these air wings to the front. So it's a very obscure use of Air Force, all in all. Now there is a bit of a concentration here towards the East Coast, and to be fair, we have taken most of the East Coast, the big East Coast air bases here, so they can't really easily operate. But there's a huge air base. We've got these close air support wings, which are on logistics strikes. Why are we using CAS for logistics strikes? Okay, there are 2 TAC bombers. No. So these are actually fighter wings. Okay, hang on. So these are the close air support wings are all. One of them is on logistics strike. The other ones are just standing by and doing nothing. Maybe they're not using them if there's no active combat, but that's you're losing a lot of mission efficiency that way, because they need to get into their sortie routines and everything. We've got the medium bombers on logistics. No, we've got the tactical bombers on CAS, and we've got the close air support on logistics. That makes very little sense. And we've got very little up in terms of fighters. So there's also a misallocation of missions here going on. But all in all, I'd say the Air Force is not particularly effective. It's a bit more kind of haphazard. Now let's have a look at the ground forces. These tank divisions, we have a fair amount of these. Let's have a quick look. How many do we have? We've got 19 modern tank divisions. That's I think I came in Germany with 12, 6 per 6 on Guderian's and 6 on Weber's army. Let's have a look at what these templates are looking like. Okay, so that's a 24 with tank division with 32 organization. That isn't bad. It's not great. It's missing SPGs, but it's got support A, support RT. It doesn't have engineers, which isn't good because it means that they will struggle with movement. But it does have logistics, which okay, I'll take it. which does help with the whole situation. It is lacking a bit in soft attack because of the lack of SPGs. But then again, at this point, it's actually still facing a fair amount of infantry, because I'm still bringing in the heavy infantry at points. So the soft attack would have been helpful there. But 600 breakthrough is definitely nothing to sneeze at. So why are these performing so badly? Well, once again, let's see if we can find one. There's one. Yeah, they're rookies. They have a minus 25% combat modifier, whereas mine have probably around anywhere between plus 25 and plus, I'm not sure if we had veterans or the elites, but at least somewhere between 25 and 50% positive combat modifiers. So compare that to a, if I had any on the elite status or in the elite experience, they would have been twice as effective as these. So my tank divisions, even though we have fewer, probably count for somewhere between a 1.5 and 2 times combat modifier alone on the experience level, simply because these are all green troops. So they've all been rushed into production or into deployment. So they must have force deploy these, right? Because they're not even trained. They're not even fully trained. They were just rushed out into deployment, and that is true for almost all of these troops. So they've just been rushing these troops out. That is very odd, because then usually you see the AI doing that, unless it's very, very unless these have been produced very late. But there's way too many of them to say that that's the case. How are they organized? They are okay. We do at least have an army group here. So we do have. Is there like a single general who's got all this? No, not really. They're pretty much all. That's a bit of a mess, but it's a little scattered. But all of them sort of have a tank division or two. These are still being assigned. But let's have a look at pattern and see. Okay, he's an armor leader, but we haven't taken the armor expert or the combined arms. And he doesn't have, we're very, very short on command power. We might have to take a look why that is, but it looks like a lot of these generals are, there's some good generals here, but a lot of them are missing the subsequent traits. So where has all the command power gone? Because that seems to be really missing. Okay, so we're missing out on that. What happened to the command power? Oh, we're doing air supply. That's why. Yeah, we're losing 14 command power on air supply. But that's only on the max. The main part is the war support. So yeah, the abysmal war support has drained down the command power, and that means. And that is mostly due to the convoy raids, to the propaganda, and to, at some degree now, the combat casualties. See, this was sort of my strategy going into this. I don't want to conquer the whole US because it's taking forever to get across. And yes, you could invade both coasts, and you can get it done. It's doable. But I thought, okay, that's a lot of troops on the ground, and that is going to be a bit of a sludge if they are relatively defensive. So I thought, okay, they are not have the greatest stability in the world, and that is hampering their war support, and the low war support drains their command power. The command power means they are not able to upgrade their generals, and they haven't trained their troops, and they've even got some unassigned troops. Yeah, it's just 2 of them. Okay, doesn't matter. Got some unassigned. They do have resistance issues as well. Let's have a quick look at their occupation situation. What's the overall? It looks like they at least have a 100% garrison. What's the... Yeah, no, we're not having any kind of resistance problems, honestly. So occupation is fine. They're using local police force. Yeah, which you can if you just need to suppress. But otherwise, the civilian oversight generally gives you the faster compliance growth if you are after integrating countries. But for this sort of situation, it's fine. So we really don't have resistance issues. Stockpile-wise, we are short, obviously, mechanized and modern tanks, which is because we're not producing any. And yes, the aircraft as well, we're going to be short. What else? Research. Let's have a quick look at research. Large cannons, not going to help us. Improved snow, not going to help us. Photo reconnaissance, not going to help us. Not going to help us because we don't have the rubber to build any of these. Not going to help us because the war at sea is lost. So none of these researches is relevant right now. What are we having in general? This is all, could do that. That's better. That's a better choice here. Don't really need anything else here. Oh yeah. We're not using any engineers, but we are using recon. So improving recon would be big. Logistics, yeah, that would help as well. Everything else, actually using engineers be good. Tanks, we're done. We're done here, but he's got the same problem that I did, which was that the anti-tank research is behind, which means that the guns for the tanks are not as good as they could be from the modern tanks. Naval tech's fine. There's no need to build naval submarines, maybe for harassment. So that's the only one I'd give them. But without steel, they're not going to be building them either. Yeah, not a lot into naval tech here. A lot of into mine tech, but they're not mining. That's always something that baffles me, but okay. Air tech looks good. Basic large airframe is completely useless at this point because no, you're way too far behind and you're not actually going to be having the capacity industry to build these things. Radar tech, way behind. We're still in 1936 radar tech, so that hasn't happened at all. This is a huge issue because it's not just the radar stations themselves that help you with the air. It's the coordination. So coordination is a reasonably new mechanic, and at this point not anymore probably because it's been a while. Reasonably new mechanic that determines how divisions focus their fire basically. So are they spreading it out or are they starting to wear something down? And the radar techs are improving coordination. So that's quite an important one. We do have all the computing machines, and we have nothing on the atomics. Who knew? We have gone dispersed, which is okay. We would need to run 3 lines on the excavation techs to get the mineral deficit under control. We've gone all the way down in fuel refining, which is unnecessary for the US because we have a stupid amount of oil. Yeah, we've got 403 oil. So if the infrastructure is reasonably well built up, let's have a look at what that looks like. Yeah, we haven't been building up infrastructure, have we? I think, yeah, pretty much not at all. So that's another thing we could do. What are we occupying our factories with? Building civilian factories at this point, not helping you at all. Building military factories isn't helping you either. You've got enough military factories. The problem is resources. And building up port facilities, and yeah, most of them are probably going to be... I would actually probably prioritize these things, at least for some of the frontline parts, because this is all my strategic bombing, which has blasted away their railway lines here. So infrastructure, get the resource extraction up. That would be something. How are we looking here? Okay, superior firepower. Yeah, that's something you can do, and. At least it's fully researched. Naval doctrine, fleet in being is fully researched as well. They're actually ahead of me here, which is quite interesting. Probably because I've been designing a lot more ships. We'll look at ship designs in a minute. Air doctrine. Why are you on strategic destruction? Okay, well, it is what it is. Probably as USAS probably would have gone TAC, but okay, it is what it is. And the Special Forces branches are done, but you're not really using Special Forces, so that was a bit of a waste of... where did he get all this naval experience from? The Navy must have been training non-stop. Let's have a look at what's left here, actually, on the Navy. And it's not going to be much. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is from training or if this is just from combat experience. But he's still got... He's still got a single strike force. This is all. What is this? Yeah, three battleships and two battle cruisers, a battleship, and 2 heavy cruisers. Not helpful. We've got a few untrained submarines and a single destroyer that's under repair, and we've got this group here, which is sort of the only combat effective group. And we've got the USS South Carolina, which I have tried to sink, but the bloody thing is a dreadnought hull. These are notoriously difficult. It's got a stupid amount of HP. These are notoriously difficult to take down. What's the design on this thing? Yeah, that looks about reasonable, honestly. 21 knots, a bit slow. Definitely, I don't need that. Do that away. Bit too much AA, but they don't have the dual purpose secondary, so I haven't at least refitted them. So that's that. What do they have on ship designs that are actually still building? What are they trying to build, actually? Destroyer, convoys, destroyers, destroyers, and convoys. Yeah, they're trying to build destroyers and convoys. Destroyers are going to be useless at this stage. You have no convoys, and you can't escort them because your destroyer forces are not going to work with it. But what is that? This is the Advanced Lightship Hull A3. Where is it? The Advanced, it would have been in the destroyer. Okay, we're going to have to show the outdated because he's got a modern destroyer hull but he's not using it. It's this design here. So what is this? That's a fleet destroyer. That is not an escort. So that's a reasonably expensive, almost 2,000 IC. I've got single torpedo launcher. We do have sonar and depth charges, so it's sort of a hybrid. But that is not a bad destroyer. That is a decent destroyer. Now I can see why they absolutely shredded through the French destroyers in that one battle where I was using the old French ships. All right, so yeah, I think that sort of sums it up. We've cornered the USAS into a situation where they cannot effectively use their troops. Their troops are ineffective because their troops have absolutely no experience. Their production is completely ground to a halt due to a combination of due to the trade chokehold, which has suddenly made a need. They have gone down to war economy, and they've gone to service by requirement already. Okay, manpower is still all right, but yeah, free trade. You have to get off free trade. It really, really, you don't want this at this point. That's 30% resources that are you can't trade with. You can't really trade much. You don't need the civs. He's got 266 civs. He doesn't need to trade for those. So this is all going into the ether. They're earmarked. I mean, it goes a little bit out, but for what? We don't need that at this point. So killing the convoys has removed their possibility of trading. That means there's an absolute shortage on rubber, and with the extremely heavy concentration on mechanized, yeah, that's a death blow. So these would have to be pretty much reverted into infantry divisions, probably with anti-tank, in order to, which we haven't researched, in order to withstand the onslaught, because we just can't build that many mechanized infantry. Air Force, yeah, same thing. What have we looked at? No, we haven't looked at the airplane designs. Let's have a quick We haven't looked at the fighter design. Well, what's the fighter they were building? That's CAS. P-72 Bronco. Is that a fighter? That is a fighter. So we've got cannons. Okay, interesting choice. Relatively high air attack. And we've got armor plates, substitute fuel tanks, and extra fuel tanks. That is not a bad thing. I'm not certain about the cannon ones here. So that's 20 air attack to -2 agility, 6 weight. If we'd used, we'd be getting a bit more agility, but we are okay on thrust to weight. So what I probably would have, see if we could trade these for heavy machine guns. That's in 26, and we can't fit another one in. Okay, yeah. So that would give us a bit better agility, but for less air attack. Now, I'm okay with that. I think that is a good design. So that was a good design fighter. The problem is, you've got 15 on it, and you're not making any because you don't have any rubber. Yeah. So that's an issue. So the killing of the convoys and the control of the sea has killed the kind of overseas trade, which means they have no rubber, which means they cannot produce the means of fighting. It has also tanked their war support, which means they don't get any combat power, which means they can't upgrade their generals, because the gain is just so minute that you're really not getting anywhere. What do they have? Who is the staff here? Maneuver specialist. Yeah, okay. 4% probably on the defense, be taking 4% org over that, but understandable, no command power. Chief of Navy doesn't matter. Chief of Air Force, we've got an air reformer, not useful at all. You have all the air experience you need. Get the ground support specialist for 12 political power. You could have taken this and getting a 5% air superiority bonus out of this whole thing. We've got an army regrouping. Okay, that's not bad. Although probably is there no infantry? We might be able to take some of these. We've got some high-ranking generals. They're probably complete. Yeah. Get like an infantry expert or an entrenchment expert or anything like that and put them in instead here. We've got an air superiority expert, okay, and we've got a free slot. So yeah, not the most successful military high command, I would say, because they have all the competent ones have been executed. But yeah, we're losing trains. So the losses in these air zones are going to be pretty monstrous. Yeah, and these are all irreplaceable. These are all completely irreplaceable losses. So they've lost the war at sea. They've lost the war in the air. They could still have held the war on the ground. And the problem though is, what's the entrenchment on these divisions? Because if we are, let's say, like, you're up here in the mountains, 16% entrenchment. That is not enough, my friend. Who's leading this? Who's leading this group? It's he's got offensive doctrine, yeah. You want a general that has defensive doctrine, I think, at this point. Do we have another field marshal? We don't. We only have one field marshal, and we can't promote anybody because we don't have the command power, because the convoys have been sunk. You see how this death spiral of hitting them in the war support is really kind of paralyzing a lot of things. So it's not just the surrender limit. The surrender limit was the one that I was mostly after. But just to speed up the war, it's the command power multiplier. That means you can't do last stand. It means you can't do staff. You can't do force attack. You can't assign or trade any military staff. You can't upgrade any generals. All of that stuff needs command power, and you're not getting any command power without war support. And you're not getting any war support because if you've lost all your convoys. Do they still have political power? Political power, it's nice, but doesn't really bring you anything at this point. Political power, 10% base stability, that'd be nice. 10% base stability, yes. So go for these two. Garrison doesn't matter. Special forces doesn't matter. And I think we've got everything else really. So there's really only like a 20% base stability left in, there's a 20% base stability left here in these. So that would get it up to 70%, 69% if they could take this. Would not be bad. And that would help with war support a bit. As is the interplay between the two. Operatives, two operatives. They are building, where are they? They're building intelligence networks. Where are they building intelligence networks? In Germany, okay. So one of them is. The other one is in Moscow. Why is it in Moscow? You're not fighting the Russians. Well, you are, but that's not helping you at all. Use them for defense at home, probably, or in the occupied territories to counter our entrenchment, if you want to attack anywhere. So yeah, the USAS has gotten into a really bad position, and it doesn't also help that the AI isn't concentrating their forces. Now, this is an older version of HOI4. They have made an update in this. One of the recent updates where they said that they are starting to work towards force concentration. So this is one of the big items why the AI is losing. You've seen the mess that it's gotten itself into, but one of the big items why it's losing is that it doesn't do force concentration, right? So if you took all these, if you took like four tank divisions, and you would use them in a like these are spread out, right? Like just a really small example, right? You've got 3 tank divisions here, 1, 2, 3. Concentrate them on these 2, and do an attack across the river. This is all I've got over here is a bit of an entrenched infantry, which doesn't even have anti-tank. So these are modern tank divisions. Get 3 tank divisions concentrated, attack from 2 provinces. Go around, because these are divisions. Theoretical division speed is 7.6. So you're still faster than infantry, and you've got the mechanized to, how fast is the mechanized? 8.2. You've got the mechanized to chase that up. So break through here, destroy some, be more aggressive. They could have probably broken through here, cut off Florida, and sort of collapsed all the southern front here, and then start cutting, start going for the ports and cutting the supply lines. But you need the decisive concentration of some tank divisions as a spearhead, and then followed up by fast divisions, either mechanized or trucks, following behind. Go for the supply hubs. There's no supply here. So yeah, this would probably have petered out without supply. Yeah, you're not getting. You'd have to build up. This port first, probably. Which would take a little bit of time in order to, and actually connect it with a railroad, because it isn't right now. Oh yeah, the port isn't connected by railroads, so it doesn't really get an awful lot, because it would have to get it by land route. I think it gets it through is there a river here? It looks like there's a river that it's using, but anyway, this sort of attacks would have been. These sort of attacks would have been possible, but the AI in newer versions allegedly does that a little better. The other thing, and I've actually noticed that, and this is actually good. You see how they went to balanced cohesion, because the default is flexible, and flexible is just moving divisions all around. Forget about entrenchment; it's moving divisions around all over the place. But balanced is an okay choice. Personally, I sometimes even go down to rigid. They're on careful execution, because the AI obviously always battle plans. So if they are running the attacks, they are in careful execution. Probably not worth it, which means that they're too timid to commit their divisions. I'm curious to see if a newer version is going to be doing any better. All right, I think I've been talking enough about how the USAS has failed. So combination of choking their trade and naval supply routes, destroying their war support, their stability is going down, strategic bombing into the rear to destroy their logistics, and even though that has slowed us down as well, but we had to repair it all, and yeah, other than that, and yeah, it chokes off. It's the cascading effect, but the biggest effect probably is the absolute lack of resources. So with that, yeah, not going to work too well. The second point, and I'm going to try to make that a little shorter, on production. So if you've been around from the beginning, you have noticed that I have been putting more and more effort into the sort of intro sections and into the sort of story support sections with secondary characters and little character arcs and all these kind of things. And yeah, that just came out of increasing confidence with video editing and finding the material to do this. So I've started out almost like 100% with historical material. One of the big issues with historical material is the one of copyright. So you'll find that when it comes to movies or any kind of historical film, things like British Pathé have almost a complete coverage. There's very little in the public domain that you can actually use, and I have looked at the licensing, but for a sort of broadcast license for like a 4-second snippet, I'd have to pay like $200 or $300, and that's just not worth it. So licensing is out of the question, and using it illegally for me is also out of the question. And that left me with mostly image material, which I then had to, because this is an alternate history format, then had to try and find things that sort of matched up, which still worked relatively well in the beginning, but then down the route, things got a little bit more difficult. And I started using AI at some point just for a few things where I absolutely couldn't find anything. The thing with AI is, and I made a post about it, that I would try not to use it. And I'm still sort of on that, but I've softened that stance a little bit, simply because of the progression of AI, which has been nothing but spectacular in that regard. Now, I personally don't like AI to generate art because it takes away from actual artists. And I don't feel great about the sort of replacement of creative work by AI. So I wouldn't go to the point, if it becomes possible in probably, 12 months or something, to simply ask AI to generate a script, to get AI to generate a video, and then to get AI to upload it on YouTube. It's going to create such a torrential wave of slop. And it's going to get better. But at the end of the day, it's still sort of just AI doing things in order to enrich humans. We've seen this on YouTube before with, if you look at the kids YouTube, the whole kids YouTube area, which is just chock full of nonsensical, colorful, kind of cartoonish videos combined with nursery rhymes. It's such an abyss, like such a cesspool, that I'm not too positive about the whole thing in general. But what I do like about it is, to use it for myself as a tool. And I am not actually making art. I am trying to make alternate history photography at this point. It is actually quicker now that I've gotten my head around a little bit on, which AI systems are out there, what are their quirks, what can't you do. I was trying for the last video to do an AI image of the purge of the American generals, because that was a hypothetical thing that would have happened in this storyline. I couldn't get AI to do anything that has anything to do with gallows or hanging, which was what I was going for. Probably because it was running into some guardrails. So I had to get a little creative and basically say, generate me a few soldiers standing in front of a wall with bags over their heads. and the AI didn't put 2 and 2 together and said, yes, this is actually a setup for a firing squad. So it's like a little limitations at times. You can't get historical figures to do things you don't want to. So I couldn't get the AI to make a photograph, to forge a photograph of von Schleicher sitting in an office. It wouldn't do it. It would say, no, with what you're trying to do here, I'm not allowed to. So you always have to kind of go find ways around it. But it's still quicker than trying to find images that aren't copyrighted. And the big ones here are Getty Images and Alamy, who have a tight lid on some of the better historical photography from the period. There is a fair amount, much more than on video material. There is a fair amount out there. So the German National Archives are running stuff under Creative Commons. So that's you'll see the attributions in the video description. That's one I'm using quite a bit. And Creative Commons, Wikimedia Creative Commons obviously is a fair amount. And sometimes you can get a bit into the gray zone, and you can pick up a picture somewhere from the web that looks like it should definitely be. It's an obscure picture. No one's really going to have license on that one. So I try not to, but if I don't have a choice. But then once you get into the old history area, the later it gets, you really can't find. Where am I going to find socialist American material, right? So I'm cheating a little bit and picking up things from where I can find them, but in the end, at some point, I'm gonna. And that's, I think, where the AI really came in well for me to support that. And this is what I'm going to be also doing going forward. So I'm going to continue the production style with the intersection on every video. In the beginning of this series, I had done probably, I think, every fourth, simply because of the amount of time. It does take time. It takes definitely a few hours extra to make this. But I think it's worth it in order to support the story. And I'll strive to have an intersection at least every second video, depending on how actually story heavy we are. But I feel that's really a defining characteristic of this whole thing. I will also try to, this was sort of a first, let's explore Kaiserreich to its fullest extent kind of series, which obviously became rather long, and not everyone's in favor of this. I know that some of you absolutely love doing this, and I'm quite happy with the sort of late game storytelling, which is something I'd really been struggling before when I was making Hearts of Iron 4 series of like World Conquest or something, like long form series. It just really got into a kind of grind, and I was really struggling to make compelling videos in the end. Whereas I think this one worked a lot better from the whole setup. So I'll be continuing that. I'll be continue using AI. I will explore using AI video a little bit and see how far that gets. But I've only just started experimenting with that, and until I think the latest Google video release, it has been just kind of quirky. But I'll keep playing around. I'll keep observing that space, and we'll see if I can start using very, very carefully crafted AI videos when I can't shoehorn any historical footage into it. I will always prefer to use historical footage if I can get it. But if we are in such alternate history setups, then it's not always possible. So I'll continue exploring the space, and I'll be starting to work on the next series in the coming week. So looking forward to that. I will also be starting the Crusader King 3 series very soon. I have done the storyboard, and I've started playing around a bit with ways of, it's going to be a very different game. So of ways of sort of telling the story and doing the sort of visual elements to support it. We'll see how that turns out. But I'll also probably get that kicked off. Not yet sure, because I'll be out. I'll be away in Germany in July, so I'm not sure if I still do that in June. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. We'll see how my health is going. Anyway, this was a rather lengthy debrief to the whole story, and I will see you all in the next series. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.